Well, let's get started. I'm Stefan, and I will walk back and forth. We bring any kind of remote. So I would love to talk. I will not show you code samples and no command line tools, but I thought I'd a little bit share a story today. A story how I got here, and a story about what I did with some interesting data. And my idea here is to maybe, spread some sparks about there's actually a lot of cool things you can do with all this technology. And it's not all about how the syntax looks like, how the API looks like. Yeah, it's important for software developers, but there's a lot of things we can do with that. So who of you guys thinks he is a, or she is a data engineer? A software engineer? A few. What else you guys doing? Who's a manager? Okay, just checking. All right. So again, I want to share a little bit my story. So I grew up in Germany, actually in East Germany, and one of the few movies in my childhood I really liked was this movie, The 3 Days of a Condor. Do you guys know that? Who knows this movie? 75, Robert Redford. What was so amazingly cool about this is, it's just the CIA division, and they're scanning books, right? 75, they're scanning books. And then they have this, I think it's a PDB-8 that does text mining. And that's what I wrote up in my teenager years, like, wow, I don't need to read this. There's software maybe can write. So this is where it all started for me to get excited, going into technology and being very interested in search technology, text mining, data mining technology. And around 2003, a little bit earlier, there's this thing popping up in German news, technology news, as well as all around the internet, and I really liked that. There was this guy, Doc Cutting, that said, we need a serious alternative to the big guys, right? We want to do something that empowers everybody to build a search engine and to control the algorithms. How is search? It's not manipulatable anymore. We understand it because it's open source. I thought that's amazing. Information needs to be free. I want to be part of that. So I joined pretty early the Hadoop community, and this is the first meetup in San Francisco we actually put together. Can you see yourself there in between, right? And yes. Jeremy and the dog is in the back. So this is, I think, early 2006, and I see this room much more crowded, obviously in summer, but maybe there was a starting point, and we eventually we kept the beer thanks to Yahoo. The tradition is going on with the beer. I really like that. All right, let's get to the second story. So this is how it all started for me, and I got involved with this. I wrote a Nudge plugin system. I think there's more than 200 plugins now out there. As you guys know, Nudge gave layer bursts to Hadoop. Doc started at Yahoo. RJ managed as a product manager, moved that forward. I did other things after that. I co-founded with Ken as well, Bixo, a web crawler that solves some of the problems we built into Nudge. Kata, I'm not sure who knows Kata from you guys? 1, 2, yay! I owe you a beer. So Kata is a distributed Lucene index. So if you think of Hadoop, of the Hadoop file system, Kata is the same for Lucene. So now you can, you have your blocks, but it's indexes, and you can have up to hundreds of machines. You have parallel indexes, you multicast the query, it turns around within just a few milliseconds, gives you the result, TF, IDF, ranking, blah, 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 blah. So it's pretty cool if you really want to build a real search engine. So you see the theme, crawler, search engine, I stayed somehow in there. But now, what I also did is trying to pay my bills. So over the last 6 years with a team, I consulted for different companies, co-founded Scale Limited. We did very early, before other companies, Hadoop training, and really mentored and coached companies using that. And I recently, more than a year ago, teamed up with RJ, who used to work here, and we founded DataMir. Again, and the theme is the same. We thought we should make information accessible to everybody and not put a technology bridge in between the people that want to understand what's going on and maybe the data somewhere. Okay, so thanks to Arun, he already mentioned that no, Hadoop is not the silver bullet. It's a cool buzzword, no SQL, Hadoop, but it's all a little bit weird to see that if you are long enough there that it's, you know, you saw the Indeed job post going up like crazy. Everybody wants to be a Hadoop engineer, or every company wants to have Hadoop. But no, it's not the silver bullet. And what you really have to understand is it all comes down to the laws of physics, right? A database makes sense, but you pay upfront. You pay upfront for indexing the data, and yes, then you can query it very fast, right? And yeah, if you do a join, it's a little bit more expensive. But if your data grows, obviously you need to operate on seek time, what is very powerful, implemented in Hadoop or in other systems. There's commercial MapReduce systems as well as you know. Okay, so here's the second story, right? So there's so much social media going on. So who is using Twitter or something like Facebook? Okay. Oh. Are you guys just tired, or you not like it? Okay. So who's using Yahoo? Ah, I see. That's why Yahoo is playing beer every time. Okay. So I think we're all aware of that. Social media is running, maybe not us, but maybe our kids sometimes over, and it's really taking over. And it's, I don't want to say scary, but wow, yeah, for me, it's always very difficult that 10% of the American population now spends at least 2 hours in Farmville or something, right? So Twitter is really picking up as Facebook and so on. So let me describe what I did in an evening. And I put some stuff together I know from my work, and again, I also want to share a little bit what RJ and me and the team are working on, how this looks like, and I use that. And the stack to put this together, and I think what the point I'm trying to make here is it's all available to you guys too. And it's not that you need to be Yahoo and run 35,000 Hadoop machines in your data center. It's available in public clouds, and you can rent it for 8 cents. So what I did is I rented some storage space and servers on Amazon. I used Shell and command line scripts, Java. I used, again, what we're doing on, and I show you, obviously Hadoop. I bought myself a 6-pack and sit the rest of the evening with another open source tool. Yeah. So you guys all know AWS. Really, you know, there are many other, obviously, that are going into this space, Rackspace and GoGrid and Joy and so on. Hadoop, you should know now, at least if you're here. And what we do, and what I just added on the stack, is we have a spreadsheet user interface. It's a design tool that allows you to really build those chains of MapReduce jobs very fast. And then we have all the necessary things under the hood, the total system, the scheduler, the functions, yada yada. And we have a SaaS offer too, so we make it fairly reasonable for everybody to use it. And again, the last mile is an open source visualization tool. And to entertain you guys a little bit, I will do the stunt and demonstrate a beta software and an alpha software today. So let's see how that goes a little later. So let's talk about the expenses to really make clear everybody can use that. And I think there's enough information out there, if it's about the oil spill, if it's in the social media, it's environment data, that it wills to mine for everybody. So I paid $65 for the EC2 machines. For S3, I stored some gigabytes there, $7.50. EMR, the Elastic MapReduce client, $24. I estimated how much I use now. We private beta right now. And again, I really like this Pilsner Oak Grill. It's $8.99. It's not that cheap, but it was necessary. So the way I implemented that is I had a little Java application I installed on a machine for a week. Well, actually, so not just Foursquare or Twitter and maybe others providing public APIs. In case of Twitter, you actually by today is, nobody can get 5% of their data. I think they opened it up, and good friends of Twitter like Google getting the full data. So what I did is, I had an EC2 machine sitting there for I think a month, and just consuming this 5% of the daily stream and storing that in S3. Again, then I run Elastic MapReduce with our software, exported some data and visualize that, and I will also show you this today. Thanks. So I can share the Twitter client code with you. It's extremely simple. It's just a thread that listens to the Twitter API. It's a HTTP JSON stream. What you want to do is to spun another thread. So if you write 256 megabyte files or whatever the size is, and you have a compression thread. I think compression is a very common topic here. You want to compress that. It's just more environment friendly. Think of compression as you're doing something good to the environment, and then store it back into S3. This is how the Twitter API looks like. It couldn't be any simpler. Again, it's just an HTTP stream. There's a little policy around it, like how often you can connect, how many threads, blah, blah, blah. And this is the stream. There are more metadata available from Twitter, like your friends, so-called friends. Who has more than 10 friends on Facebook or Twitter? Few? Okay. All right. So my fiancée actually has 400, and then she always says, well, my friends. And I'm always having a hard time to believe that's your friends. Anyhow, so if you could go to the next one. What is interesting, there's actually quite some metadata that comes with Twitter data, not just the text itself, that is a treasure. There are a lot of markets in there, but a lot of metadata around it, like geolocation, latitude, longitude, what clients people using, number of friends, number of status updates, those kind of things. So there are just very simple shake and bake statistic roll-ups you can do that's kind of interesting. For example, how much the word fail appears in Windows-based devices, or so it's interesting, right? You can do actually quite some stuff. So you can do simple things like trending topics. You can analyze how fast are different topics spreading over a network. That's, I think, very interesting to understand. For example, if there's a lot of conversation, is social media worse enough to announce earthquakes in San Francisco area, and there are experiments around that. So you can just look into this and figure out how fast actually are things spreading, or how far is a topic reaching out. How does this network look like, and different things. So I think this says demo. All right. So here's the here's some stuff we're working on. I would love to share with you guys. Let's see. So we're working on this quite some time again. Before I founded with RJ Datamir, I did Nudge, Hadoop related consulting and built platforms there for almost I would say 6 years. So our knowledge went all into this, and we're really trying to bridge the gap. I mean, we don't want to make you guys software developers jobless, but we want to do a favor to your private life, so you can focus on the interesting, cool stuff and not writing those MapReduce jobs again and again. Who loves to write MapReduce jobs? 1, 2, 3. Who loves Emacs? Is there same hands? Okay, no. So again, I mean, there's a different focus. We're trying to make this really cool, distributed, elastic technology available for not so tech-savvy users, people that don't want to write pig scripts or SQL or MapReduce. So the way this works, and I did this, and I show you how we can do simple shake and bake analytics here. Is, so selecting one of the data sources here. So we have like 15 different data store adapters, GBC, SCP, HTTP, S3, blah, 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 and it's a plugin API. So if your boss does not, if your company not yet, if we don't provide it yet, you can implement it for your boss or however, right? So it's extendable. And what we, for example, have is a parser for Twitter data. And I'm pointing to a file here. And it's really as simple. You don't need to write any Java code. It's really as simple like, okay, where's the data? If it's a file system, okay, you provide a path with some patterns like star, today, and what have you. If it's a database, you choose the tables, those kind of things. And then in the next step, you're pulling stuff in. One thing for people that are not using Hadoop so much is, I personally think of Hadoop as a no-limit platform. But if you think of the traditional data warehousing stuff, you move data to the CPU. Oh my God! Imagine, why would you bring people to the beer if you can ship the beer to the people, right? So it's just not scaling very much, and the way all this B-tree stuff works, man, it's 30 years old. So what is really cool about Hadoop is not just the elasticity that it has, but you move the computation to the data, and that's why it's so scalable. And in this context, the way I think of Hadoop is really, there is no storage limitations anymore. There is no computation limitations more. So we just pull in raw data and keep it around, because if your CTO changed next year, you don't need to do any schema mapping again. Who did every year new SQL database schema mapping? No? Okay. Both, some laughter. I did this quite often. So you pull in raw data and do the ENT of ETL layer on this stack, right? The last thing is just setting up some scheduling. When do you want to run this? Maybe I want to pull this in every morning, let's say at 5. You have custom problem pattern, blah, blah, blah. Okay. As you see, it's really that simple to pull in the data. But then let's talk about this analytics stuff, right? So I go to the analytics stuff here, click new. This is running the super fast MapReduce cluster on my laptop. So what you see, again, there's a spreadsheet, right? And we feel that there's 100 million Excel users out there. By the way, Microsoft didn't invent spreadsheets, just to make sure you're all aware of that. But there are people that understand